They say kids see things adults can't. I never used to believe that, not until my little sister started talking about the man in the basement. She said he came every night. She said he stood at the bottom of the stairs and watched her sleep. And then one day, she was just gone. We moved into that house when I was 16. My sister Lily was 7. It was one of those too good to be true deals. A big old house in a quiet neighborhood, cheap enough that our parents could afford it even after Dad lost his job. It had a strange layout. The kitchen was massive, the bedrooms were tiny, and the basement took up nearly half the square footage of the place. Huge, cold, cement floors, bare light bulbs. One little window near the ceiling that barely let in any sun. Mom said it would be good for storage. Dad locked it up the first day, said it was unsafe for Lily to go down there. But she always talked about it, said she felt like the basement was sad, like it didn't want to be alone. I figured it was just her imagination. She was always a weird kid, quiet, sensitive, kind of dreamy. The kind of kid who named her stuffed animals and talked to shadows. But it wasn't long before she stopped sleeping through the night. It started with her knocking on my door. Every night. "I saw him again," she'd whisper. Always the same thing. "The man in the basement. He's at the stairs again." I'd walk her back to her room, check the hallway, show her nothing was there. She'd nod like she believed me. But the next night, same thing. She said he didn't move, just stood there, sometimes whispering, sometimes smiling, always watching. Mom thought she was having nightmares. Dad blamed cartoons, but I believed her. Not at first, but eventually. Something in the way she talked about him. She wasn't scared the way little kids are scared of monsters. She was terrified, like deep, bone-cold fear. Things started happening around the house. Lights flickering, doors creaking open by themselves. That kind of thing. Classic haunted house stuff. But it was subtle. Never enough for Mom and Dad to notice. Just me and Lily. One night I heard whispering. Late, like 2 or 3 a.m. I got up and followed the sound. Lily was at the basement door. It was unlocked. She was talking through the crack, whispering something like, "I don't want to. Please don't make me." I grabbed her and shut the door. She screamed like I'd hurt her, even though I hadn't touched her. She told me he was angry now. A week later, I found a notebook under Lily's bed. It was full of drawings, pages and pages of a tall, thin man with no face, just black scribbles where the eyes should be. Sometimes he had long arms that dragged on the floor. Sometimes his mouth was wide open, like it was screaming. She wrote things too. "He lives under us. He wants to come upstairs. He says I'm his now." I showed it to our parents. They said she needed help, made an appointment with a child therapist. But she never went, because that was the night she vanished. It was raining, heavy. I remember that detail more than anything. We all went to bed like normal. Lily said goodnight. She even smiled at me, first time in weeks. But in the middle of the night, something woke me up. A creak, like footsteps, but not above me, below, from the basement. I got up, checked Lily's room. Empty. The basement door was wide open. I ran down there barefoot, yelling her name. The light was on. The air was freezing. My breath came out in clouds. And there she was, standing at the bottom of the stairs, looking into the corner. I was halfway down when she turned to me. Her eyes were wide but calm. "It's okay," she said. "He just wanted me to see where he lives." Then the light went out. Everything went black. When I finally got my phone out and turned on the flashlight, she was gone. Just gone. No footsteps. No scream. Just the empty basement and a freezing chill that never left. The cops searched the whole property, dug up the floor. Nothing. They thought she ran away. Maybe fell into some drainage system and got swept away in the storm. But I know what I saw. I know what I heard. We moved out a month later, but I couldn't leave it alone. I started researching the house. Turns out we weren't the first family to lose a child there. 3 kids, over 40 years. All gone from the same room. All lived in that same house. All had the same stories of seeing a man in the basement. I went back there recently. The house is abandoned now. Overgrown, windows smashed, but the basement door was still there and still unlocked. I never planned on moving, not really. But when my job shifted to remote and the lease on our apartment shot through the roof, my wife and I figured, why not just buy a place? Somewhere quieter, more space, fewer neighbors, and maybe even a yard. We started looking just outside of town, saw a dozen houses. Most of them were too new, too polished, like they didn't have any stories. But then we found this old two-story fixer-upper tucked between overgrown hedges and half-dead trees. It had charm, that old-world creakiness that made it feel like it had lived through things. We fell in love with it almost immediately. The guy selling it was weird though, eager to offload it, didn't negotiate much, and he barely said a word during the walkthrough. Just kept muttering about how he never used the basement, said it was cold and gave him headaches. We brushed it off. Old houses have quirks, right? 6 months later, we're in, settled, cleaning, painting, fixing up little things. It felt good, like we were putting life back into a place that had been asleep for too long. But then we found a hidden room in our house, and what was inside still haunts me. The basement was the last place we touched. It had that don't go down there alone kind of vibe. Cold, damp, always smelled faintly like rust and something else I couldn't place. But we figured we'd get to it eventually. One Saturday, I decided to tackle the basement alone. My wife was out with friends, so I figured I'd surprise her and finally make some progress down there. While I was moving some old shelves against the far wall, I noticed something weird. The wall behind it sounded hollow, like knock-knock, and you could just tell something was off. I pushed the shelves aside. There was a faint outline, not even a real door, just a cut in the wall, like someone had drywalled over something. Sloppy job, too. Curiosity got the better of me. I grabbed a crowbar and started peeling it back. Behind that wall was a door, an actual solid wooden door. No handle, no markings, just wedged into the concrete like it didn't belong there. Took me half an hour to pry it open. What I found, I wish I never opened it. It was small, maybe the size of a walk-in closet. The walls were concrete, bare, except for one thing, writing. Every inch of those walls was covered in writing. Not paint, not marker, scratched into the concrete with fingernails. It was gibberish at first, repeated words, phrases, over and over. Things like, don't look, and he lives behind the eyes, and stop scratching. But in the center of the room was something worse. A mattress, old, stained, torn, and next to it, a camera, not a new one. One of those old camcorder-style ones, still plugged into the wall, pointing directly at the mattress. I didn't even want to touch it, but I did. I turned it on. There was only one video. No date, no title. Just an empty room, the same one I was standing in. Same mattress, same walls. For the first minute, nothing happened. Just static hum and silence. Then, movement. A figure crawled into frame, slowly, like they didn't have control of their limbs. Pale skin, covered in bruises and scratches. Their eyes, wide, hollow, terrified. They looked right into the camera and whispered, "He's still here." The footage cut out. I dropped the camera, ran upstairs, locked the basement. When my wife got home, I didn't say anything. I couldn't. But that night, while we were lying in bed, I heard it, scratching, not from outside, not from the walls, from beneath us, like fingernails on concrete. I went back down the next morning. The door was gone, not closed. Gone. Just a solid wall like it had never been there. But the scratching hasn't stopped. And sometimes, late at night, when the house is really quiet, I hear whispering from inside the walls. We don't really know what to do, put it on lease or just sell it off.